Adam Schefter at 4 o'clock on the nose here. Washington wide receiver Terry McLaurin, who is seeking a new contract, did not report to training camp today, according to a source. McLaurin was not present for the Commanders' conditioning test today that marked an unofficial start of training camp. All other players are present and accounted for, just not McLaurin. Translation, he is holding out.
Here we go.
And the holdout has begun. There was a question about a holdout versus a hold-in. There was hope maybe that they beat the clock and got an extension done, although nothing about the Adam Peters press conference today led me to believe that they were closing in on a deal imminently. He did not speak like someone with any conviction on a deal being a certainty in the offing. And now we know. McLaurin is not going to hold in. He's not going to show up to try to avoid the fine and just not partake in activities on the field. He's going all the way through with this thing, man. Our sweet prince, Terry McLaurin, the anti-diva, is going to continue to agitate, try to find some good trouble here to get himself some money. He will not be at training camp.
So I hesitate to try to infer meaning behind certain things, but tell me if you think this is off base. If you hold in, it means it's a matter of hours or you're pretty close. This is what it always has felt like to me. Like, it just means I'm here. We're on the same page. I expect this to get hammered out. I just can't participate because if I get hurt, God forbid, then it all goes up in smoke, right? Whereas if you are not there, not present, Trey Hendrickson take a picture of the Florida sunset style when training camp starts, you are saying, just so you know, it doesn't mean it won't get done, but just so you know, this ain't close. Just so you know, we are not right around the corner from getting it done. That's how I've always perceived it.
So I don't see it that way. I don't think Micah Parsons is close, as an example. Jerry Jones did a press conference about Parsons, and he, by the way, nobody, and I mean nobody, puts their foot in their mouth.
Boy, it's delicious. You ever had my foot? It's tasty.
I mean, he can't do a press conference anymore. And I honestly, it's almost uncomfortable to talk about because I don't know if it's an age thing or what, but like, he's no longer a sharp press conference doer. He just can't do it anymore.
Right.
To talk for 10 minutes without saying something stupid or putting his foot in his mouth. And I'm trying not to make light of it, but that's just where we are. And so he did it again. But Micah Parsons is at Cowboys camp, and he is going to be there, and he's going through all of the motions. There's nobody suggesting that a deal's close between him and the Cowboys. The way I view it, I'm going to bounce this off of you. I think the hold-in is reserved for situations where there's not really acrimony. Hold-in, not a lot of animus. Hold out, I don't like you very much right now. I don't want to be around you.
That's a better way to quantify. That's what I was going for.
The closeness of a deal to me is irrelevant, though. Like, Trey Hendrickson is mad at the Bengals. It's not a coincidence. Trey Hendrickson popped off, said a bunch of things about how they're liars, doesn't like them, feels like he's not appreciated. Not there. Terry McLaurin had a press conference at Eastern Motors where he said, I'm not valued. I'm disappointed. He's not happy with this front office or with this team. He's holding out. If you're holding in like Micah Parsons, there's been no Micah Parsons Eastern Motors press conference. He hasn't cut a Trey Hendrickson promo. Mm-hmm. So to me, there's more of an acrimony or an animus thing where it's like, if this is just business between the two sides that's actually going fairly pleasantly, but we can't agree on a number, but it hasn't gotten personal yet, then I hold in. If I hate your guts and I can't see you right now, we're on a break as a couple, because I think right now Terry McLaurin and the Commanders are on a break. Mm-hmm. I hold out. Trey Hendrickson and the Bengals may or may not get back together. But they ain't sleeping in the same bed right now. He's holding out. In fact, he's posting pictures with the geographic tag of Florida, which was outstanding.
He's very much in Florida
today. But that is the news of the day. Terry McLaurin holding out. I guess it's possible he could show up tomorrow, but don't you agree with what I said last segment? If you're showing up, you show up for the start of this thing right now. It's not like he's just going to stroll in there tomorrow while everyone's on the practice field a day late. I think you determine whether you're holding in, holding out, or just going to practice yesterday, and today is day one of this, not tomorrow. Even though there's no practice yet, this means until he gets a deal, he's not showing up, and he's going to incur a $50,000 fine every single day starting today.
That's what you'd think, yeah. I mean, from everybody's perspective, I understand it, right? From if you are close, you wouldn't want to start escalating that to me. Or if it's friendly, if it's, and you said it better than I did. I was trying to quantify it, and you did it better than I was able to. But if it feels like if there's no animus, then you don't want to start escalating those fines and the like, and everybody can be on the same page. You just don't happen to run that route, and you go inside and sign when it all gets hammered. When you're not close, now everybody has to escalate. You've got to be willing to accept, $250,000 a week, 5 days not going to practice, 6 days, $300,000, and the team's got to be willing to start doing that because you're basically calling each other's bluff. Right? From a team perspective, they have so much leverage here. Every team does. This isn't just a Washington. Every team has an advantage over a player trying to hold out given this CBA and the way it's structured. So you're sitting there going, count up your fines, man. As much as you want to lose, it's on you to lose it. Right? As long as you want to hold out and make it worse for everybody. You're under contract for this year. You are now in violation of that contract in search of a new one. That's not a great methodology for earning your service time and getting yourself to the next deal. So the team can and should do what they're doing as you still try to negotiate in good faith. And the player who thinks you're not close, this is the one chance you've got to try to get more. So I understand it.
For the people who say $50,000 is a huge number, there's no way he's going to let them bleed him out of that much money throughout training camp here, and he's going to deal with that fine. I mean, Terry McLaurin has made $42 million over the last 3 years. That's not even 1%, like 50,000. Now, you add that up enough times, it gets to a few percent. But it's not even 1% of what he's made over the last 3 years, which is not even to say his career earnings. I'm just going over 2022, 2023, 2024. He made $24 million last year. He made $11 million the year before. He made $7.3 million the year before that. So he doesn't notice a $50,000 fine, assuming he's been smart with and done a good job with his money. And let's face it, everything that we know about Terry McLaurin would suggest that this is a guy who's got financial advisors and he's making some really smart, grown-up adult decisions because nobody's more grown-up or smart or more adult, seemingly, than Terry McLaurin. So I don't think the fine thing for a week or two is really that big of a deal. But I've got a lot of questions otherwise about how far apart they are and, frankly, how in the heck did we get here? It just doesn't seem that complicated. The market is pretty much set. This is what a wide receiver who you deem a number one costs, which tells me, Danny, they disagree, the team and the player, on whether or not he's a number one wide receiver. Convince me otherwise. We know what a number one wide receiver costs. We've seen what DK Metcalf got for a team he never bled for or sweat for. We have seen what a younger version, maybe not a great comp, but Ohio State standout as well, Garrett Wilson got in New York. Like, the market is the market. We see where he slots in. It's going to take a little over $30 million AAV. It's going to take X amount of guaranteed money. It's complicated because, unlike at other positions, it's not all elite guys and then a little bit better. It's tiered in a funny way because some of the contracts are out of whack. Right. But this should not be that complicated. So I just can't believe that this team decided this is the time with this player that this is when you keep your checkbook in your pocket.
So I'm trying to interpret. I think you make a good case. But let me just put my thinking cap on. Age, 25, 25, 25, 27, 24, 26, 24. What do those sound like? That's the ages of the guys when they signed these extensions that are above him in terms of AAV right now. He's 30. I think that's a huge calculation. You look at the history. There are exceptions. Henry Ellard, or you can go down the list who played here. But there are guys who've been north of 30 who've been very productive that have lived up to the top billing. There aren't that many, though. There's a lot more that have not, that have regressed or gotten worse or gotten hurt or lost steps and have not been the same player.
What was A.J. Brown, 27, 28?
A.J. Brown was 26 at the time of signing.
So he signed an extension, it says, in 2024, and he's 28 now. I'll take your word for it that he was 26. I was thinking he's 27. But, yeah, there's a couple-of-year difference. That is definitely a factor in this.
So I think that's number one. Number two, this is the point I've kept making. And the market is X, and that's totally right. I think that's if you don't have the player yet, right? In the case of DK Metcalf, and you're wooing a trade and you're paying a tax, or so to speak. The Washington team right now has him under contract for whatever the numbers. I think it's 22 and a half or 23. I can't remember which. About 23 million. According to what I've seen from over the cap and from really smart people, the franchise tag, the next 2 seasons for the wide receiver spot is 28 and change. 120% of that is around 33. The idea that they just have to go to what the open market is isn't correct. Now you would do that because you want to do right by the guy. You would do that because you want goodwill and you want to be seen as, lovey-dovey and everyone singing kumbaya as we shout our catchphrases together under Dan Quinn. But you're not under any incentive to go above the market based on what you already have in terms of control over the player and him playing for you. If they would like him to play for them, they have mechanisms to go down that road. So the average of 28 and change and 33 give or take is around 30.5. If they're not close to that, I think it's a different conversation. But which that to me is the end.
We have a report suggesting they're not. It's the only report that has any details on money. I don't know if it's right. It's Jeremy Fowler of ESPN saying his understanding is the team's not close to $30 million. Now, I don't know what not close means. That could mean 24, which is not close, which, by the way, is a slap in Terry's face, in my opinion.
I would agree with that.
Low ball. It could be 28. 28 is not nearly as crazy, but it's still, you could convince me that that's not close to 30 in player money.
And so here's my follow-up on that. If then you go, we walk into the negotiation with that amount, then the agent, whose job it is to change the eye line, would go, oh, they started at 30. We're going to ask for 36. Or if they're starting at 25, then we settle on 30. You see what I'm saying? And the team can't budge until they get to the place that they think is far more reasonable. And the agent's job is to bleed them dry, is to get as much as humanly possible for the player. It's why most guys don't do it themselves and have agents do it. So I see the impasse.
So McLaurin turns 30 in basically week 2 of this football season. A.J. Brown was a month away from turning 27 when he got his extension. So you're talking about 2+ years as an age gap between the two, just to pull up one guy who recently got paid really good money, even though I would say A.J. Brown's a better wide receiver than Terry McLaurin. But I'm having two conversations here, bouncing back and forth between the two.
Mm-hmm.
I can do what you just did and make the perfect case for why Terry McLaurin not getting a long-term deal or an extension done right now makes plenty of fiscal common sense. Absolutely, I could do that. It goes back to the old Cousins conversation, though.
Yep.
Like, there were probably people who said, well, you could just tag him a couple of times, keep him around for a couple of years. And it's different because then they went through quarterback hell again for years.
Well, they were trying to go under what the franchise tag was.
Understood.
Right.
But my point is, there is just generally, with a guy like McLaurin, normally a tax you're willing to pay above the perfect deal for the team, where you overpay or you go a little further than you should, just because he's the guy in the building.
Mm-hmm.
And they have shown no willingness to do that. And that, to me, is surprising. I'm not saying it's a bad decision. Again, I said months ago, I thought this deal would get done before training camp. I think he'll be a little bit overpaid for a little bit too long. Won't be a great contract, but everyone will be happy and high five and camp will start. The team's not willing to do the thing that is a little bit worse than probably best for them. A McLaurin franchise tag next year would be $30 million based on his salary this year. So you would be tagging him at $30 million next year anyway. And then it would be 120% of that the next year. So you'd still, if you're doing a 2-year game with him, you're doing 2 and 60 whatever at that point, fully guaranteed. And maybe they're going, we have no problem paying him for 2 years before Jaden Daniels gets money. It's year 3 of the deal that bothers us, or it's the 4th year that he wants that we want nothing to do with, where we'd have to carry over some guarantees.
Yeah, we want him for 3. I'm just saying this out loud. We want 3 seasons of Terry McLaurin, including this one upcoming. And after that, we're not sure we want to be in the $30+ million business of a guy that's going into his age 34 season.
It's funny. I've got tweets coming in, and amazingly, it's kind of like the antithesis of one another on both sides of this thing. I've got people here who are so pro McLaurin and anti-team. Why are we doing this to him? Says Chris. As if Terry's some victim. And then I've got a guy here who says trade him. Good for them. It's a divisive issue.
Mm-hmm.
But I do wonder what the shot clock is for this organization before people turn on them a little bit in how they're handling the most important, most beloved player on the team. I was just talking to the guys behind the scenes. Toby, who you guys hear on the Fan all the time, is working behind the scenes on our show right now, is 25 years old, 26. Terry McLaurin's his favorite player ever for this football team. Probably the best player he's seen during his lifetime as well. There's an entire generation of fans during a really bad era where Terry is their guy. And if you see your team playing hardball with, this is the time they decided to stick the we're very frugal or we're going to only get the right deal for our team flag in the ground. This is the first time they've really been that team publicly. There's going to be people that have a hard time with that. I also wonder the flip side with Terry, who's beloved, who's never done anything the wrong way, who is such a team-first, professional, awesome player. You want your son to be like him. You want your daughter to date him. How long does he get with the fans to hold out, to agitate? Now you've had a press conference at a dealership. Now you're not showing up before they start to turn on him a little bit.
Yeah. And the team doesn't really want to get involved in PR battles, it seems like, in terms of like counter messaging and the like. But you'd have to start wondering at a certain point, if everybody's yelling at you, maybe something comes out finally where, yeah, he's being unreasonable. He's asking for this or that, or his agent is behaving in an X amount of way.